the time is 7:30. No, wait, that's not the time. It's tactics time. Alright, my name is National Master Caleb Denby, and today I wanted to warm you guys up with some tactics that you might have not been expecting, and then we're going to switch back over to some real chess, get some nice chess puzzles in there for you, see what you guys can do. But to start off with, I'm going to show you this position that I have on the board here. This is a pretty strange looking one, and you might think that black is simply winning here because black is up a piece. That is until you're told this is not real chess. This is atomic chess. So of course, atomic chess is a pretty interesting variant where whenever pieces are captured, for example, if pawn takes pawn were to be played, the pawns that are directly involved with captures actually explode, and the pieces in the surrounding square explode as well, with the exception of other pawns. So just to kind of show you some of the rules here. For example, if this bishop were here, and this pawn were captured, this bishop is in the square, so the bishop would explode. Now, you don't win this game by checkmate, although you can. This game is won by blowing up the king. So if the king finds itself within this square when a piece is captured, then the game is over. So with that in mind, those of you who already know the rules to atomic probably have a leg up here. But this position is actually black to move and win. There's only one winning move, and I'd be interested to see if you guys can find it, knowing these rules of atomic chess. I'll give you a hint or two, since this is not real chess. You may have not been ready for it. If of course, you know, this king, first of all, cannot capture this pawn. It's illegal, because the king would explode. If you promote to a queen in this variant, you more or less win the game. So that's going to be similar to real chess. The question is, can you find out how to force a promotion here for black? How can you force promotion? What do you guys think? I'll leave it to you from there. This is the crux of this atomic puzzle, is trying to force promotion. And while you're thinking about it, I do want to mention that you know, variant tactics are a pretty unique thing. They're pretty strange, and it's pretty tough to find them. That is until a very nice website came out that I will tell you the name of, chessvariants.training. That's where I got these puzzles, and it's where you can do some more chess variant training all on your own, completely for free. I believe it runs off of Lichess, and most of the tactics are taken from variant games on Lichess. Okay, I'm seeing 2 illegal moves in the chat so far, so that's not the answer. Bishop b3, I don't even know what you intended to say. Oh, maybe you meant bishop g6. Okay. You'll have to tell me your idea with bishop g6, and then the move b6 was suggested. I don't know what you mean by that one, actually. b6, the pawns are traveling in the opposite direction. So, legal moves, please. Legal moves. So bishop g6, I'm going to assume you meant. What's the idea with bishop g6? Hello, Zasunten, Myanmar. I don't know if I can pronounce that. I tried. Once again, atomic chess here. Any ideas? Okay, Akarsh, I appreciate you. Appreciate you rephrasing as bishop g6, but what's your idea? What's the idea with bishop g6? I won't settle for just the first move. I won't settle. Okay, Ben's saying a4, and this, Tis? Pretty sure it's Tis, is playing b4. So, I will say, I think your idea with bishop g6, if I'm not mistaken, is that after any move, you want to capture here, and I think your idea is to start pushing this pawn. And this wouldn't be a horrible idea if it didn't lose by force. Of course, white can simply blockade your e-pawn, and now no matter what you play, white is actually the one who will end up queening with check, and of course, that is going to be enough to win this game for white. So you do have to be a little bit careful about what passed pawn you make. Remember, you can never capture this h-pawn, because it explodes your own king. It explodes your own king. Okay, Tis wants to play a4, but b4 is gaining in popularity as well. b4 is gaining in popularity. So let's take a look at a4. a4, he says you force a pawn trade. And this is true. This is a true story. You do force a pawn trade. However, let me ask you another question. How are you replying to b4? How do you reply to b4 here? Because this one is going to cause you some pretty serious consternation, if I'm not mistaken. So, of course, the only way to try to win this game is to try to make a passed pawn. So if you try to make a passed pawn, well, white's going to take this one. Now, the only pawn you can capture anymore is going to be this pawn on e4, and white's going to be ready to blockade this pawn, no matter what you're doing. And if you take the other way, well, of course, white can also capture the other way, and you get the same position. So a4, I think b4 is going to be enough for white to hold. And a similar problem kind of occurs if you play the move b4. Let's see here. b4, let's try and calculate. What can white do? What can white do? White to move and save the game. White to move and save the game. Yeah, hello to Colby. Congratulations on catching it live. Bishop f2 is nowhere near being a legal move. Oh, you do mean bishop f7. Bishop f7, okay. So you want bishop f7 in the initial position. So we're looking at b4, though, and it turns out, actually, I don't think the chat's going to get this one. a4 is really just going to be enough to save the game. If you sacrifice this bishop, well, congratulations, you sacrificed your bishop, but for what? But for what? Actually, a4 is not going to be it. We have to take this pawn, and now if you play a4, of course, this is going to be another draw, because you cannot sacrifice this bishop or else you lose. And if you play bishop a4, trying to be clever, well, white can simply, just in time, run his king to this queen side of the board. And uh-oh, it's black to move now. Can't move any pawns, have to move the king, and white will queen and win. So cautious play is required. So not b4, Jacopo? I'm going to go with Jacopo. Hello to Jimmy as well. It says bishop f7. Well, bishop f7, you're running into the same problem here, guys. White's going to run the king over and blockade whatever passed pawn you make. And then you're going to be the one in trouble, because you have to move out of the way of this pawn. It's just going to run this king over unless you do something about it. So wow, tough start to tactics time here. I didn't think you guys would struggle quite so much with this one, although it is pretty tricky now that we're getting into some lines here. So I might just have to give you guys the answer to this. No one has even suggested the correct first move yet. There's only so many first moves. No one has found the correct first move. Why doesn't the king take the pawn? Good question. We are, of course, talking about atomic chess here. This is atomic chess. Whichever piece gets captured, all the pieces in the surrounding square explode, including the king. So kings actually can't capture anything in this variant. Then it's bishop move, bishop g6. Of course, the correct move is not bishop g6, not bishop f7, not b4, not a4. It is b takes c4. Of course, this is the winning move for black. The idea is, yes, you need to make a passed pawn, but you also want to preserve your bishop while you do it. You don't want to sacrifice this bishop needlessly, otherwise you're going to be in pretty serious trouble. So now, if white simply brings the king over, what do? Well, we make a passed pawn, but we do so with the move a4. Now, white has no way to prevent this c-pawn from moving forward. If you take here, well, we can start pushing. And just to examine it, let's see what happens. c2, king c1. Now we move this bishop, or we can simply take here. And now, with white to move, it is black who is queening and winning the game. Perhaps a little bit trickier for white is not to play king e2, but try this move a4. But now, the idea is we do have to sacrifice the bishop, but we do so in the most favorable way possible. with this pawn being all the way on the A file. And now the rule is a little bit different in atomic chess. Yes, white can step into the square of the pawn, but since the king cannot actually capture, it's still too far away. And if we look, we see, devastatingly, black will queen and win this atomic chess game. So an interesting tactic there for you atomic chess fans. Unfortunately, no one got it in the YouTube chat. I know it's a little bit tough. You have to really change your brain, change your way of thinking here. And the main reason, the main thing you have to do with that regard in atomic chess is realize whenever you capture a piece, that's it. Your piece goes off the board as well. And pawns, they cannot really be captured by kings. Nothing can really be captured by kings. The kings are worthless. Okay. Good attempts, though, on that puzzle. You guys did come up with some creative ideas. Of course, in this endgame, and actually in endgames in real chess, you always want to look to make the passed pawn as far away from the kings as possible. And you don't want to sacrifice your material until you absolutely have to. Those are the principles in real chess that actually could have helped you to solve this puzzle. Alright, that one took a while, so we're only going to do one or two more of these variant tactics, and then we'll switch on over to real chess. So now, do you guys want to do crazy variants or a little bit more normal variants? Your call. Crazy variants or more normal variants? Trying to figure out using normal rules? Yeah. So hopefully you've got the gist now. We're doing variant tactics to start with. Alright. I'm just going to do more crazy variants, because what's the point of doing normal variants? This variant is a pretty good one. This one might be one you're not familiar with. It's a little bit lesser known. This variant is Racing Kings. Who doesn't love scoring touchdowns? And now that football got canceled, you can do it in your chess games. Of course, the idea of the Racing Kings variant is the first person to get to the back rank wins the game. Now, white obviously has a little bit of an advantage in this race as he moves first, so there is a special rule in place where, just to show you, if white moves to the back rank first, black then has a turn to get to the back rank as well. And if this happens, the game is declared a draw. You know, they tied in the race. However, if black is the first one to move to the back rank, since he moves second in the game, he wins automatically. So let me introduce to you now this tactic that we have here. There's one more key rule to Racing Kings that makes it really abnormal. You cannot legally check the king. I'm going to say that again. It's illegal to give check. I hear our producers going crazy. Tracy out there is so angry. You can't check the king. It's illegal. Look, I'm going to try. Check. Check. It won't let me. It won't let me do it. You can't check the king. It's illegal. So check and checkmate, illegal. You can only win the game by getting that king to the back rank. Of course, though, it is still illegal to move your king to a square where it would be attacked. So right now we see white is successfully preventing black from getting to the back rank. So this tactic is going to revolve around black forcing his way onto the back rank one way or another. So let's see if you can find it. Let's see if you can find it. Get the king to the back row. Win the race. Score a touchdown. Score a touchdown, everybody. You gotta get there one way or another. So key rules to keep in mind. You only win by getting to the back rank. Check is illegal. And black wins the second he touches that back row. So that's the idea. Black to move, get to the back rank. I think Ben Simon has the answer, or perhaps Tracy, one of them. Ben, of course, suggested the correct move, knight f3. Tracy. That's Tracy! Tracy solving the Racing Kings tactic from the main area. She's too strong. Knight f3 is, in fact, the move. What does this move do? It does a few things. One, it hangs the knight, but that's not the point. The point is, it's interfering with this bishop's control of the a8 square. That's what Racing Kings is all about, getting that king up the board one rank at a time. Since check is illegal, once you go up a rank, you never really have to go back down one unless you choose to. So knight f3 interferes with the bishop. So now, what can white do about this? Well, he has to guard the a8 square somehow. And with check being illegal, these moves are not going to do it. Queen b8's not going to do it. There's only one way to continue guarding the a8 square, and that's to take back with the bishop. Now, of course, the obvious problem with this, rook takes queen, and now it's the b8 square that's the trouble. And there's no way for white to legally guard b8. Of course, knight c6 is illegal, as it gives check, and check is illegal. Now, of course, if you take the knight with the knight, well, you gave up the a8 square, and black would win. So there you go, little Racing Kings tactic for you. Hopefully you enjoyed that one. I saw someone mention 3-check. Don't worry, I've got 3-check tactics too. I've got 3-check tactics all day long. Welcome to a 3-check tactic. It is black to move here. Important information for this one. In the game that this was taken from, black has already given 2 checks in this position. So one more check, and black wins the game. White, in the meanwhile, has given 0 checks. So it's 0-2 in black's favor. One more check wins for black. White has to give 3 more checks to win the game. That's the variant of 3-check, of course. If you give 3 checks, game ends, you win. So what can black play here to take advantage of the fact that only one more check is required for him to win? What can he do? You know what? And I might change my mind. I'm having so much fun. Maybe we'll just do variant tactics the whole time. I do have some real tactics, just in case you guys get a little bit bored. Who knows? Who knows how to give that 3rd check? That's always the problem with this variant. I've played many, many 3-check games where I sacrifice all my pieces, I get 2 checks, but then you just can't get a 3rd one. Jonathan Harper has an interesting idea. Jonathan Harper says Queen f5. What's the threat with Queen f5? What is black threatening? And then how can white step out of it? What's the threat? The line doesn't end after Queen f5. You gotta keep going. Matisse is confused, understandably. It's confusing. Life is confusing. Okay, we're getting a myriad of illegal moves once again. I don't understand. F6 is legal, but it might as well be illegal, because that's how much I don't understand it. Ah, okay. I guess I understand F6. So the point of F6 is you're trying to get this bishop to move when you could give Queen G2, winning the game. But unfortunately, white does not have to move this bishop. You can even take on D6 instead. There we go. The chat's finally caught up with me. Queen F5 is the correct first move. It threatens Queen takes H3, winning the game with the 3rd check. Now, there's only one way to really step out of this for white. I mean, you could play Knight H2, but this is going to be checkmate. So King G1 is the only reasonable move. And now, how do you continue with black? Only one way to win this game. Only one way to win. King G1 is a very nice try by white here. Yeah, sorry, of course, G4 doesn't work as well, because you open up this diagonal with this checkmate. So, Queen F5, King G1. Holding on. Holding on for dear life. Yeah, Tristan Davis has it. Not Queen F4, hanging the queen. Instead, bishop takes E5. And now, bishop H2 is threatened. If King H1, Queen takes H3 wins. If King F1, Queen takes D3 wins. Note, we are getting this king one way or another. And there's no real way to block this bishop H2 threat. The king can't move out of the way. We can't really block the diagonal. And so this is going to simply be lost. Of course, no matter what white throws in the way, we simply capture it. And no matter where the white king goes, we can check him. Or bishop H2 will end the game. Perhaps you give a check, but after that, nothing else to be done. That's a game ender. 3 checks, black is victorious. Alright, good job on that one, guys. You're getting the hang of it. You're getting the hang of it. You gotta start thinking a little bit differently. Now, of course, it's time for everybody's least favorite variant, anti-chess. There are some interesting anti-chess tactics, though, as the variant is so forcing. Now, what are the rules to anti-chess? Well, let me explain briefly. You win a game of anti-chess if you lose all of your pieces. Now, how does that make any sense? Well, captures are forced. So if you can capture a piece, you absolutely, positively must capture a piece. And with this rule in effect, you can kind of lead your opponent on this string of captures to try and get them to take all of your pieces. So let's jump into this puzzle here. Now, this is a pretty good initial position. There's only one legal move for white, so I suggest you play it to start the tactic. Captures are forced, as I said, so this is white's only legal move. So white has to capture on d5. Now, black only has one legal move. He has to capture back. Captures are forced. And now from here, this is where the puzzle begins. White to move and win. I'll give you a hint. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 pieces for white. However, it's mate in 10, believe it or not. I should also mention one more rule. Stalemate is a win for the side that cannot move. I don't know why. It just is. So, the key to this variant is figuring out a tricky way to force your opponent to capture all of your pieces. So how can you do it? I should also note, the king is not special in anti-chess. King's like any other piece. It bleeds just the same. It dies just the same. So don't be worried about the king here. You still want to get your king captured. Okay, Astapada says b4. It's a good start. b4 is a good start. f4 is also a good start. These are, of course, your only two main candidate moves. You have to force your opponent to keep taking your pieces. Now, one of these moves is better than the other one. And in order to see that, you have to think a little bit ahead. So you have to think, well, f4, b4, I know exactly what my opponent's going to play. He's going to capture my piece. Then what do I play in response to make sure he has to keep taking my pieces? So he has to take all of them. How can you force this to happen? Queenside castles has been suggested. I don't know about that one. Queenside castles might actually lose the game. Of course, you're not forcing your opponent to take anything. So, oh, it's also illegal here. Feels like it should be legal. Maybe castling just isn't a rule in anti-chess. I feel like it's not. Can't castle in anti-chess. I don't know if you can, but you can't. Not in this puzzle. Okay, everybody is giving me one-move answers. Okay, Akarsh has given me a two-move answer. That's better. So has Brian Clark. However, they're both wrong. So b4, knight takes b4, and then they had a pretty nice idea. They wanted to play rook c1, and now after knight takes a2, this knight's going to have to take this rook on the next turn. Except it won't, because captures are forced, so white must take on c7, and now the tables are turned, and it is in fact white who is on the back foot here, having to capture pieces with his rook. So not rook c1. Any other moves? Yes, Jonathan Harper, but knight h3 is illegal. Captures are forced. Captures are forced. So I'll give you a hint. This knight can't do it alone. This knight, he can try, but he can't do it alone. You need another black piece to come into the fray to take all of your pieces. Akarsh has it, as does Tural Naimanov. I'll go with Naimanov. Rook b1 is the key move. Now, knight takes a2 is forced, only legal move. Rook takes b7 is forced, only legal move. Bishop takes b7 is forced, only legal move. And now, what's the key to end the tactic? What do you do? There's a couple options here. But, this is more or less the end of the game. Provided white plays well. I'm just going to assume the chat sees it. Of course, yet Tyrell has it. It's g3. And now the bishop has to take the rook on a1, which is undefended, so you don't have to take back. And then you can kind of string this bishop along until the end of time. For example here, e4, bishop takes e4, knight f3, bishop takes f3, king d1, bishop takes d1, f3, bishop takes f3, g4, bishop takes g4, bishop h3, bishop takes h3, stalemate, winning the game for white, as he cannot move anymore. And that's a rule in anti-chess for some reason. If you don't know that rule, well, that's fine. You can just play it slightly differently here. With, let's see, you could do this one first, and then it's all the same. It's all the same. All the pieces come off the board one way or another, and you win the anti-chess game. So there's some anti-chess tactics for you. All right, I'll leave it up to the chat. You want to do more variant tactics, or you want to go back to boring old real chess with boring tactics that you've seen a million times? Oh, look, you find the fork, it's a double attack, you checkmate the king. Come on, what do you want to do? What do you want to do? You tell me. You tell me. What do you want? Anti-chess seems like the most ridiculous variant. You must have not been here for the racing kings tactic, but, you know, I'll give you a close second. Give you a close second. Just waiting. Come on, guys, make a decision. What do you want? In the meantime, I'm going to throw up another variant tactic while we wait for your decision. Of course, I'm talking about Horde chess. Who doesn't love a good game of Horde chess? Now, this is one that the stockfish here on Lee Chess is actually unable to solve. So we'll give you a... Okay. That's a lot of votes for boring real chess. Boring chess, real and boring. I see 3 votes for variant. Atomic is okay. We'll do one more variant one and then switch over to real chess. So how about this? This is a lot like real chess. It uses all the chess pieces. White still wins by checkmating a king, so you got that going for you. Check is legal, so like, you know, most of the rules. Okay, so this is of course Horde chess. White wins by giving checkmate. Black wins by taking all of the white pawns. So the key here is to figure out how you can force a promotion for the white player. If white promotes in Horde chess, more than likely he's going to win the game. So let's see, how can you force a promotion with white? What can you do? How are there 2 queens in Horde? Black must have promoted. Black must have promoted. Got a pawn all the way down to the end of the board. Find some way to promote here for white. Do I have a 960 tactic? I don't have a 960 tactic, because 960 tactics are chess tactics. Chess is boring. I want to play fun variants, like Horde and Atomic. B7, king takes B7, A8, king takes A8, C8 equals queen. Well, Jacob, you've hit upon the nail, the head of the nail. You hit the nail on the head with the idea. The point is, if the king were the only piece that were able to take this pawn, the king cannot stop all 3 pawns. Just can't do it. Can't stop them. Can't stop all 3 alone. However, you have missed the fact that this queen on h1 can capture on b7. This would save the game for black. Gotta dodge that one. Excuse me. a6 with the idea of b7. Not a bad idea either. a6. If black plays some random move, well then we play b7 check. Nice move. Queen takes b7 is forced, and now we have the same tactic here. We queen, takes, and we queen. Unfortunately, though, for white, there are more problems to be solved. a6, very nice idea. Unfortunately, though, black can save the game with a very nice queen 5 to f3. Now against b7, we will still sacrifice a queen, but we'll have our backup queen there just in time. So that is the crux of this tactic. Can you distract these black queens for long enough to force a promotion? Can you distract one of these black queens away so that your killer idea of a6 can come onto the board. Hello, Ragnarok. H8, then a6. Terrell, you're so close. You've hit upon the third problem in the position. We would love to play h8 when queen takes h8 would allow a6, which would win by force. Check, 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 check. But of course, unfortunately, wait. Unfortunately, it doesn't win by force, because after a6, black has the very, very nice move. Bishop takes f7, when this queen is actually somehow helping. b7 check, queen takes b7, a takes b7, and wait, all of a sudden, this queen is guarding the back row. And that's going to be a win for black. So, we need to block the 8th rank, and then distract the queen, and then play a6, and then distract the king, and then we can promote our pawn. So, Akarsh has finally got it, as does Shadow Griffin and Karthik and Quadriflexify. And, oh my god, everybody has it. Sukrith has it as well. f8 queen has to take. h8 queen has to take. a6, nothing to be done to help this guy. Perhaps just pawn, queen takes pawn. Now check, check, and check. And white is doing quite well with a queen on the board. It's still going to be a game, but this is definitely what white wants to go for. So there you go, a nice horde tactic to round out our variant tactics for the day. Now let's switch over to some real chess. Over here, actually, I have a few interesting puzzles. I don't know if you guys know this about me, but I used to go to college. I used to be on the University of Illinois chess team, which I was briefly captain of before I moved back to St. Louis. And as captain of the chess team, I had to put together some tryouts. So today, I want to see if you guys can make the U of I chess team. If you've got what it takes, if you can solve the tactics that I gave to prospective U of I students wanting to get onto the chess team. Let's see if you can solve them. See if you can solve them. So on the board here, I have a tactic from the tryouts that I gave to some students. This one is on the easier side, I'm going to say, although it is still a bit tricky. It's white to move here, white to move and win the game. See what you can do. See if you guys have what it takes to play chess for the University of Illinois. Jacob T. Graves says easy. He says easy. Sacrifice everything, GG, resign, always an option, however, not good enough to make the U of I chess team. But will Unreal Chess Tactics help in real chess? Not necessarily, but they are fun. And they will help you in not real chess, so, I mean, what's more important here? You got your board game, I got mine. Queen takes e7. I mean, it's a first move, but it's not a full line. If you had written down queen takes e7 on your tryout paper, and that was the end of the line that you gave, you would have not made the U of I chess team. So, who's got what it takes? Tyrrell has what it takes. Queen e7, rook d7, queen takes e7, king takes e7, bishop f5 is a key variation. And I suppose it's good enough for me. Of course, queen takes e7. Now, if rook d7, the only move for white to win the game is to take this guy and use this bishop to unveil this discovered attack against the queen. If you don't, then, of course, you lose the game to checkmate. Don't want to lose the game to checkmate. One more question for you guys, just for example. If this were played, how do you save the game? Obviously, you can take this rook, but now, how do you stop checkmate? Even after you win all this material. How do you stop the checkmate here? How do you stop the checkmate? One last question to solve. Move the bishop? Well, moving the bishop, probably not going to be enough, actually. If you just move the bishop, we'll take this rook. Give this check, maybe. And at the very least, I'm going to have a draw here. Have to do better. Yeah, everybody has it now. The move, of course, is rook d4. You just plant this rook in the way of this bishop, interfere with this coordination, and after takes, the one queen is not enough. We are up a full rook and a full bishop. So there you go. It's a good first tactic, So the way I would have scored this, if you were actually trying out for the University of Illinois chess team, almost full marks if you give me this line. If you find out that maybe king b8 is actually worth considering with the king ducking all the way back to a7, and you give me that line as well, well, congratulations, you just made the team. All right, on to the next puzzle. Here we have another one from the U of I tryouts. Here it is once again black to move. This one, a little bit easier, I think. A little bit easier. Not that the first one was super tough, but we're keeping it simple for the most part. Keeping it simple. So the main problem with this puzzle is all of white's pieces are hanging, and you have to figure out which one to take. The second problem with this puzzle is that all of your pieces are hanging too. So you just have to find the best way to do it. Check and win the queen. Which check? Rook takes g7 has been suggested as well. Winning a bishop. Queen takes knight has been suggested. So you guys are hitting upon the major points here. Knight takes g3 is the check with the knight that's been suggested. Akash has still not specified which check he wants to play. Queen takes g5, knight d3, knight e3. Alright, so what's the problem with rook g7? Well, rook g7 isn't a bad move at all. Black isn't actually losing here. The problem, he's not actually winning either. If we count the pieces, black is in fact going to be up a piece at the end of the day here. But the problem is, we give this check, we play queen h5, this bishop's still hanging, and we don't really have a comfortable way to save it. If, for example, we play like bishop a4 or something, you're kind of asking for a lot of trouble with moves like knight e4. You know, this knight's under pressure, this f6 pawn, this bishop, everything is kind of falling apart. So rook takes g7, not actually enough. And of course, knight takes g3 is not a good way to give up the knight, because after h takes, well, you're allowing this rook to come into the game as well. And bishop f6 might also cause you some problems. And things are starting to look a little bit nasty here. Starting to look a little bit nasty for black, despite being up the queen. So of course, knight e3 check is what must be played. F takes e3, now you can take the queen, and after knight takes back, you win the bishop as well. And you are doing fantastic in this position. Black is simply winning. As for queen takes knight, which was suggested by a few people, of course, you're blundering this rook on h8. And that is not going to be good. So another tricky one here. It's kind of deceptively simple where, you know, all of the white pieces are hanging. The goal of this tactic, I'm looking for people who don't stop at the first move. They might see rook g7. They might think, oh, rook g7's pretty good. You know, I win a bishop, I'm up a piece, seems pretty good. But you look beyond that, you see a good move, look for a better one. Look for a better one. Don't settle for going up a piece, especially when your king is in such danger. Go for more. Go for more. All right, moving on. This one is puzzle number 3. This is white to move. White is in check, and I will leave it at that. No hints on this one. You'll have to figure it out for yourself. You're in check, so you got to do something. When you can win a queen, win a queen. Not bad advice from Akash. White to move. What can be done? Knight c3 is suggested. b4, no thinking is suggested. So yeah, this puzzle was designed to see what they would do in a forcing situation like this. There's a few things to take note of. Number one, this bishop's attacked, this king is attacked. So you have to do something to solve the problems. Now we have bishop d2 suggested as well. So there are 3 candidate moves here. Now knight c3, not a bad move at all. Not a bad move at all. Defends the bishop, steps out of check. So once again, this was a tactic asking you to look a little bit deeper and really examine all options, even the less intuitive ones. Now from there, perhaps they're a little bit better at chess, and they realized that this bishop cannot actually be captured. So if you block with bishop d2, well, what's this? Queen takes bishop, knight c7. This is a check. You're winning a queen. However, queen d8 could be played here. And after queen d8, black is maintaining all of his pieces. So you have to find even the less forcing variations for black as well. Queen d8, a nice defensive move. Captures are not forced in chess. This is not anti-chess. We had that earlier. Captures not forced, queen d8 saves the game. Of course, the move b4 is the way to do it. And now black simply has no good responses. You leave this bishop well developed on b4 here. The queen cannot take the bishop due to the check. Queen d8 does not save the game due to bishop takes knight. And knight takes b4 is illegal. So b4 is the way to go. It's the most forcing, and it leaves your pieces in an active position. It has a winning response to all of black's replies, not just some of black's replies. So well done to you who found b4. Okay, I'm going to jump a little bit ahead here, see if we can get some more difficult ones. And I'm actually going to present you a different type of puzzle here. I know this is tactics time, but perhaps you can solve this quote-unquote positional tactic. It's a new term I'm coining. It's a tactic for positional players. So if you're a positional player here, see if you can find the only good move for black. Find the quote-unquote tactic to get yourself the good position. Black to move. What can be done? So yeah, Jacob T. Grave and Akarsh both have the answer already. Of course, in this position, black must take this knight on e3. And this is a very common positional sacrifice that you'll actually see in structures that look somewhat like this, where you have e2 and f2. Rook takes e3 is a great way to break up these pawns and actually give black a little bit of a nice advantage here. And this is a position actually taken from one of my own games that I had against Julian Perleko, I believe, in a Friday Action Quads here. So, just a little fun fact for you. And then knight g4, of course, puts pressure on this newly weakened pawn. You can defend this pawn with something like queen c1, but things are going to go downhill for you. Even, let's say, queen c3, a little bit more of an active try. But now simply bishop takes e2 is bad due to rook takes d5. So not bishop takes e2, but instead maybe queen g5, putting more pressure on e3, shoring up some weaknesses, and unpinning this bishop here. So well done to those of you who found rook takes e3 with the idea of knight g4 to follow up, putting pressure on these weak pawns in the center for white. Okay, how about another positional tactic for you guys? Positional tactic here. It's white to move and find a nice maneuver. White to move and find a maneuver. Find your worst piece and then find a maneuver to improve it in this positional tactic. A key positional tactic. Flip the board. Why would I flip the board? It's black to move. Black to move and improve his worst piece. Knight b3 is highly illegal. It's black to move. Knight b3, the knight c5. Did I say white to move on accident at some? It's black to move. It's black's move. Stop playing knight b3. It's black's turn. Everybody's playing knight b3. Did I say white? It's black to move. Ah! Oh, Tristan is upset. We made him overcook his steak. We distracted him with too much chess. Okay. I said white to move. I apologize. It's black to move. Harshul has an idea. And he has a pretty good idea as well. I don't know if I like the particular moves he chose to play it. Of course, black's worst piece here is going to be this knight on g6. And so, I asked you to find a maneuver to improve it. Which square looks like the best place for this knight? It's going to be c4. He chose to do it this way. I think I would just slightly prefer to bring the knight back to f8. No reason to really interfere with this rook's access to e5. And black's going to play some moves. He can put this knight all the way up on c5 if he wants. But what's going to happen is we can actually take this piece off the board if we ever so desire. And from there, you know, this pawn is going to be horribly weak. If you don't play knight c5, for example, rook e1, well, your day of reckoning is coming, my friend. Let's say rook b1 or something, knight c4. And this is going to be a devastating advantage for black. In fact, the engine gives around -2.5, almost -3 here, with the best move being knight takes, when after pawn takes, everything is just falling apart. These pieces are too strong for black. So nice maneuver, way to improve your pieces, noticing this knight is the piece that's not doing anything for black, and realizing you can move it into c4 in due time. Well done everybody. Okay, one more positional tactic. One more positional tactic for you guys. It is black to move in this position. Black to move here. And play a positionally crushing move. Note that in this puzzle, other moves still maintain an advantage for black, but there's a very distinct winning idea that black can play. Do I teach daily? I'm on the stream almost daily. I teach Monday night classes and Wednesday night classes. Be sure to tune in tomorrow, though, when a better chess player than I will be giving classes. That is, of course, International Master Dorsa Derek-Shani. Okay, black to move and play a positionally crushing idea. Positionally crushing. Ronbo suggests bishop takes c3. Randy suggests knight e4. Jacob T. Grave wants bishop takes c3. So try and give some justification behind these moves. Some justification. Bishop g4 has also been suggested. Bishop takes c3, then knight e4. Terrell wants to take d4 with the knight, but he doesn't see the continuation. What do you think? This is a tactics class? It's a positional tactic. Positional tactic. So most people, I think, actually do have the right idea here. Everybody wants to take on c3, and that is, in fact, the key move here. So you take on c3, bishop takes c3, for example, and now, that hangs this pawn. So pawn takes c3. And the idea is, yes, you get this knight into e4, but beyond that, black has a very clear winning plan here that you can see is drawn on with arrows on the board. And that's really a powerful thing in chess. If you see a line that gives you a very clear, very direct winning plan, you should almost always go for it. Of course, white is not really doing anything in the center. He's lost control of e4 after this trade. And so black now has the go-ahead to simply push these pawns up the board, and these pawns are going to be devastating to white's queenside, and black is simply winning in this position. So well done if you found bishop takes c3. That is a very favorable trade for black. Even more well done if you spotted this plan of b5 and b4. This is the winning plan for black, and there's not much that white can really do to stop it here. So fun stuff, positional tactics. We'll go back to tactical tactics now. Just for fun, tactical tactics. This one is white to move, see if you can solve it. And while you're doing that and catching up with the stream, I do want to mention, of course, these are all positions taken from the tryouts for the Yulyevich chess team that I ran a couple years back now. And so, with those last few puzzles, if you at home are playing along, if you found the plans, then you're doing pretty well. I gave those positions and asked the potential team members to try and justify their move. Try and give some reason behind it. So if you saw bishop takes c3, well done, but it's not enough. Try and find that winning plan of b5, b4 as well, and then you're definitely making the chess team. I don't actually have a personal YouTube channel. I do have a Twitch channel. I'm considering making a YouTube channel, but I'm just too lazy. If you want to see me stream chess, you can check me out as the Llama Lord, but that's beside the point. Solve the tactic. Okay, we see everybody and their grandma wants to play the move c3. Jacob T-Grave wants to take on f6 first and then play c3. What's the difference? Is the Illinois chess team good? I mean, I was the captain of it, so no. But no, I'm just kidding. They've got a good group of chess players up there. They're not one of these scholarship teams, of course, but a lot of good chess players just interested in playing the game for fun. So yeah, of course, if you play c3 immediately, the difference is black can simply take this pawn. But if you capture first, that's just a trapped piece out there on b4. And the point I wanted to get across with this puzzle was identifying the misplaced pieces, the easily attacked pieces. This knight on b4 looks pretty lonely out there. Not a lot of support from the rest of the black camp, and that's why that knight's going to be vulnerable to capture. And after c3, it is, in fact, simply a trapped piece. All right, good job on that one. Good job on that one. Now we have a position here from a game, actually, that I would believe was played between Andriasian and Ilya Smirin, for those curious. And let's see if you can solve this tactic from the game. I'll give you hints. In the game, Andriasian, I don't know how to say his name, he found the tactic. So see if you can play as well as that Grandmaster. See if you can do it. You can get a scholarship for playing chess. Collegiate chess is actually kind of taking off these past few years. There's a lot of St. Louis schools, and even Mizzou now in the western part of Missouri, or central, somewhere, west of St. Louis. They have put together some pretty strong chess teams, as well as some Texas schools as well. And they have very excellent chess programs that are well funded by the schools, and they get a lot of world-class players in from all around the world to come play chess. So knight takes e5 has been suggested, and bishop takes e5 has been suggested. So these are really the two key moves we have to consider. And now for the previous puzzles, I was going a little bit easy on you guys. I was going for the type of puzzle where you find, an interesting idea, and then there's not too much calculation to do, and that's the end of the puzzle. You see the interesting idea, and that's kind of the end of the story. That's not the case with this puzzle. And this is the type of tactic that gets messed up in tournament games. Maybe the other types of tactics are just like missed. It's an interesting idea, you just didn't see it in the game, not much you can do. This type of tactic, however, is calculation focused. Obviously, there are two key moves to calculate. Bishop takes e5 and knight takes e5. And the question is, do you see the full line, and do you see which one is totally winning? Do you see the full line? So the chat room is still split. The chat room is still split. So bishop takes e5. Let's start with knight takes e5, actually. Knight takes e5, you guys have correctly pointed out. Bishop takes e2 is met with knight takes g6, and then bishop takes d1 is met with knight e7 check. And after king h8, rook takes d1. Let's count the pieces. One bishop, one rook to one rook, and two knights for a rook. Very nice material imbalance for white. And it's true that if black plays like this, white is winning. However, it's not really forced, is it? Not really forced. So who sees black to move and win after knight takes c5? Who sees why knight e5 is wrong? Black to move and win the game here. Yeah, of course, Tristan has it. Knight takes c5, bishop takes c5. The queen is under attack, as is the knight, as is the rook. Queen e3, you're going to get met with bishop takes c3, queen takes c3, bishop takes d1, rook takes d1, and you have lost the exchange. That's why calculation is the core of chess. It's the core of chess puzzles. It's the core of chess tactics. You need to calculate thoroughly to the end. Now, backing up, that doesn't mean that you clever folks out there who said bishop takes e5 are automatically right. Of course, if bishop takes e5, well, now what have we eliminated? We've eliminated, after knight takes e5, the option for black to capture this knight. So bishop takes e2, takes, check, up, takes, and we are, in fact, winning this game with two knights for the rook. However, this is not the end of the story. And also, you can simply take here. Perhaps this is a bit simpler, winning a full piece. With some funny, I guess you're not winning a piece, bishop g4, but then things get a little bit funny with h3 and knight takes h7. Regardless, though, white's winning in that line. But that's not the end of the story. Bishop takes e5. What if black plays something else? You're all discounting another key option for black here. Discounting another key option for black in this position, other than bishop takes e5. Yeah, Jacob T. Grave has anticipated my question and has the answer for me. Bishop takes f3 is another important option to consider for black. G takes f3 is going to be white's response, opening up this G file. Now, if bishop takes e5, well, what do we have here? We have a simple pin of the queen to the king. Winning the game. So well done to Jacob T. Grave. He seems to have been on point today, solving a lot of these tactics. So the point of this tactic is to show you guys, you know, it's not enough to find the clever move. Some tactics, you just kind of have to buckle down, calculate to the ends, and get the job done. So that's what you have to do here. In order to solve this puzzle. Well, just to give out some closing remarks here, if I were still in charge, you would all be on the U of I chess team. You did great today. Good job, everybody, except, no, not except anybody, I'm just kidding. Thank you all for joining me on this episode of Tactics Time. Hopefully you guys had fun solving some variant tactics, and then hopefully you had fun, quote-unquote, trying out for the U of I chess team. You know, at least we can pretend. Thank you all for joining me. Be sure to tune in tomorrow for more chess action, more fun. My name is Caleb Denby, and I will see you next time.